What if the chaos in your life isn't happening to you, but for you? What if the very thing you are cursing right now is the thing training you? Most people spend their entire life fighting reality, fighting traffic, fighting rejection, fighting loss, as if the universe owes them a smoother path. But here is the shocking truth. Pain that cannot be avoided is not punishment, it is curriculum. Every emperor who ever ruled, every soldier who ever bled on a battlefield, every widow who ever buried a husband faced the same brutal law of existence. Resistance to what already happened only multiplies the suffering. The event itself is neutral. It is the mind's refusal to accept it that turns a wound into a scar that never heals. Think about the last time something ruined your day. Was it the event, or was it the 3 hours you spent replaying it in your head afterward? That replay is self-inflicted. Nature did not demand it. You did. Once you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" the chains fall off instantly. This is not weakness disguised as positivity. It is the coldest, most disciplined form of power available to a human mind. The obstacle was never blocking the path. The obstacle was always the path. And the moment you accept that, every closed door, every betrayal, every failure becomes fuel instead of fire that burns you down. What if you are already dying and no one told you? What if the clock on your wall isn't measuring time? It's measuring how much of you is disappearing right now. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to wake you. Every single breath you take is one you will never take again. Every argument you delay resolving, every "I'll tell them tomorrow," every year spent chasing approval from people who will forget your name in a decade, all of it is being subtracted from a total you do not know. Kings believed they were eternal. They built monuments to outlast death itself. Dust remembers none of their names today. This is not depressing, it is liberating. Because if death is certain and timing is not, then wasting a single hour on fake friendships, petty grudges, or borrowed anxiety is the real tragedy, not death itself. The people who live like they are dying tomorrow argue less, forgive faster, and love louder. They stop postponing the call, the apology, the dream. Reflect for a moment. If you knew with total certainty that you had 1 year left, would you still be scrolling right now? Would you still be angry at that person? Would you still be chasing that job that drains your soul? The awareness of death is not morbid. It is the only thing sharp enough to cut through a wasted life and force you back into the present where living actually happens. What if nothing outside of you has ever had power over you? You just handed it over. What if the boss who insulted you, the friend who betrayed you, the stranger who cut you off in traffic, none of them actually made you angry? What if you did that all by yourself and simply blamed them for it? This is the most uncomfortable truth in this entire speech because it removes every excuse. Externals, money, weather, other people's opinions, illness, even the government, were never under your command. What is under your command is the verdict your mind passes on those externals. 2 people can lose the same job on the same day. One collapses into despair for a year. The other treats it as a redirection and builds something greater within 6 months. The job was identical. The response was chosen. Most humans go through life as prisoners of their own reactions, convinced they are victims of circumstance, when in truth they are simply untrained in the one skill that matters most: judgment. Once you separate what happened from what I decided it means, you gain a form of freedom no army, no illness, and no enemy can ever take from you. This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about refusing to let a temporary event write the story of your entire character. The palace can burn, the empire can fall. But the inner citadel, the part of you that decides how to respond, remains untouched unless you surrender it yourself. What if the only thing you actually own in this life is your character and you're neglecting it? What if everything you're chasing right now, the money, the title, the validation, the applause, was never actually yours to keep? Wealth can be seized. Reputation can be destroyed by a single rumor. Health can vanish overnight. Even the body you are sitting in right now is only borrowed, and it will be returned. So what, then, is actually yours? Only one thing has ever survived every collapse in human history: character. Not the character people see on the surface, performed for an audience. The character that exists in the dark, when no one is watching, when there is nothing to gain and no one to impress. History does not remember the richest men nearly as often as it remembers the most disciplined, the most just, the most courageous. Wealth without virtue rots a person from the inside while they still smile in public. Meanwhile, a person of iron character, even stripped of every possession, remains unshaken because nothing external was ever holding them up in the first place. Ask yourself honestly, if everything you own were taken tomorrow, money, job, phone, home, what would still remain standing inside you? If the answer is silence, that is the real emergency, not your bank account. Build the one thing that cannot be repossessed, inherited away, or destroyed by circumstance. Everything else is decoration. Character is the structure. What if the opinions you're terrified of don't actually matter as much as you think, because the people holding them barely know themselves? What if you knew, right now, exactly how little the people judging you actually think about you once you leave the room? Most humans live enslaved to an audience that isn't even paying attention. You rehearse conversations in your head to avoid disapproval from someone who won't remember the conversation by dinner. You shrink your dreams, mute your voice, and abandon your path, all to satisfy a jury that is, itself, confused, insecure, and inconsistent about its own values. Think about how many times your own opinion of someone changed within a single year. If your judgment of others is that unstable, why would theirs of you be any different, or any more worth sacrificing your life for? Approval is a currency with no fixed exchange rate. It changes value depending on the mood, jealousy, or ignorance of whoever is handing it out. Chasing it is chasing smoke. This does not mean living recklessly or ignoring wise counsel from those who genuinely care for your growth. It means refusing to hand the steering wheel of your one life to strangers, critics, and casual acquaintances who will forget you the moment you're out of sight. The moment you stop performing for an audience that was never watching that closely, you finally have enough energy left to build something real, a life measured by your own standard, not a crowd's fleeting mood. What if this exact moment, the only one that actually exists, is the one you keep skipping? What if you are never actually in the past or the future, no matter how much time you spend there in your mind? The past is a memory, reconstructed and often distorted. The future is a prediction, usually wrong. The only place life is actually occurring is this single moment, right now, and yet this is the one place most people refuse to live. They replay old wounds until they bleed twice. They rehearse imaginary disasters that never arrive. Meanwhile, the actual present, the only real estate life ever gives a human being, sits abandoned. Consider this: you cannot control yesterday, and you cannot guarantee tomorrow. The only power you have ever held is the decision of what to do with the next 60 seconds. Every great transformation in history did not happen in someone's daydream about the future. It happened in a decisive, present tense action, a choice made today, a boundary set today, a single rep, a single sentence, a single moment of courage executed now. Living entirely in your head is the quietest form of self-abandonment, because while you are mentally elsewhere, your actual life, the one with your actual name on it, is passing by unattended. Return to now. Not because it's a wellness trend, but because now is the only room in the house of time you are actually allowed to stand in. What if everything that feels broken right now is actually assembling itself into exactly what you need, and you're too impatient to see it? I did not come to comfort you tonight. I came to strip away every excuse you have been hiding behind. Look at your life honestly for one moment. The chaos you curse, the closed doors, the betrayals, none of it arrived to destroy you. It arrived to build something out of you that comfort never could. The obstacle was never blocking your path. The obstacle was the path. A soldier does not become disciplined on a peaceful afternoon. A mind does not become unshakable in a life with nothing to shake it. So the very storm you are praying to escape may be the only forge hot enough to shape the version of you that you were meant to become. Now look at the clock. It is not decorating your wall. It is quietly emptying you, one breath at a time, and no one warned you loudly enough. You are not guaranteed tomorrow, and yet you spend today as if you own 1,000 more of them. The grudge you're nursing, the apology you're postponing, the dream you keep starting next month, all of it is being paid for with the only currency you actually have, time that does not return. This is not meant to frighten you into despair. It is meant to frighten you into living. A person who remembers they are temporary stops wasting years on people and problems that were never worth the sacrifice. And here is the truth that removes every excuse you've ever made. Nothing outside of you has ever had power over you. Not the insult, not the betrayal, not the failure. You handed over that power yourself, and then blamed the world for taking it. Two people can suffer the identical loss. One is destroyed for a decade. The other rebuilds within a season. The event was the same. The judgment was chosen. Once you understand that your mind is the only throne room you truly govern, no external siege can ever conquer you again. The palace can burn to the ground. The inner citadel remains standing unless you are the one who surrenders it. So ask yourself what you are actually building with this one uncertain life. Not the money, it can be seized. Not the title, it can be stripped in a single scandal. Not the applause, it evaporates the second you leave the room. The only possession no fire, no thief, and no enemy can ever take from you is your character, forged quietly, in the moments when no one is watching and nothing is being gained. History forgets the richest men far faster than it forgets the most disciplined ones. Build the one thing that cannot be repossessed and stop performing for a jury that was never paying attention. The people whose approval you are starving for cannot even agree on their own opinions from one year to the next. Chasing their applause is chasing smoke through an empty room. The moment you stop rehearsing your life for spectators who forgot you the second you left, you will finally have enough strength left to build a life measured by your own standard. But none of this matters if you keep abandoning the only moment that actually exists. Not yesterday, it is a memory, and often a distorted one. Not tomorrow, it is a guess, and often a wrong one. This breath, this second, this decision in front of you right now, this is the only real estate life has ever given you, and you keep leaving it vacant while your mind wanders through corridors that no longer exist or have not yet been built. So return. Return to the discipline of this moment. Return to the citadel that no siege can breach. Return to the character you are quietly building when no one applauds. Everything falls into place, not when life becomes easier, but when you stop waiting for it to. Nothing that has been said here tonight was meant to entertain you. It was meant to hand you back control you never actually lost. You simply forgot you were holding it. The obstacles, the ticking clock, the opinions of strangers, the fear of losing what was never truly yours, none of it was ever the enemy. Your own untrained reaction to it was. Master these truths, not once, but daily. The way a blade is sharpened again and again, and you will find that life does not need to get easier for you to become unshakable within it. Everything falls into place the moment you stop demanding that it does, and start building the one thing that was always within your control. yourself. What if everything that feels broken right now is actually assembling itself into exactly what you need, and you are simply too impatient to see it? Look closely. The chaos you curse, the doors slammed shut in your face, the people who betrayed you, none of it came to destroy you. It came to forge something out of you that comfort never could. The obstacle was never blocking your path. The obstacle was the path itself. And that clock behind you? It is not decorating the room. It is emptying you, one breath at a time, while you postpone the apology, the dream, the reinvention, as if you were promised 1,000 more tomorrows. You were not. Here is what no one has told you plainly. Nothing outside of you has ever had power over you. You handed it over quietly, every single time, and then blamed the world for the theft. The palace can burn to the ground. The throne inside you remains standing, unless you are the one who surrenders it. So stop performing for a jury that forgot your name the moment you left the room. Stop waiting for life to get easier. Everything falls into place the instant you stop demanding it does, and start building the one thing that was always yours to command. Stay with me. What I am about to tell you will change how you walk out of this room.